$400 here in Mexico.
What's being moved through this tunnel, cocaine, methamphetamines, is highly likely that ends up on the streets of Australia.
The speed of organised crime at the moment, it's moving at the speed of electrons.
All motorcycle groups like comanchero.
Approximately 134 kilograms of meth, 14 kilograms of drugs, $300 million in drug money. These numbers give us a picture of Anthony Sitar's huge business company. They're also the reason he can't go home again. We're breaking down the tough math of the international drug trade in this video. You'll learn how a guy from a suburb of Sydney became the leader of a drug gang and why a kilo of cocaine can sell for an insane $300,000. As the numbers go up, so do the risks. Sitar's story is about to reach a point where it will shock even the most experienced crime reporters. Anthony Sitar's story is about to take you on a wild ride through the dirty side of the drug trade around the world. Imagine that a normal guy from the suburbs of Melbourne, the kind of guy you'd see mowing his yard on a Saturday morning, all of a sudden turned into one of Australia's most wanted criminals. It wasn't very exciting when Sitar was young. He wasn't someone you would have thought would be on Interpol's list of people they want to find. But he got into crime through what at first glance looked like a good business deal. Sitar co-owned the popular bar Destino on Chapel Street with another person. In this bar, Sitar had his first experience with danger when a deal went bad and put him in touch with some dangerous people. As Sitar went deeper into this dark world, he had fewer options. Seeing a man walk on a wire was like seeing a snake. Each step made it harder to go back. Things kept getting more dangerous for Sitar, and he couldn't just walk away. The two sides of Sitar's life became very clear. At daytime, he was the family man, going to coffee shops with friends to talk about football and taking the kids to the park. But when it got dark, he changed into a different person and planned with people who would make your blood run cold. Sitar was making links that weren't just in his own area. We're talking about big foreign players who deal in millions, not thousands. No one could have seen this coming. The stakes were rising faster than anyone thought possible, like a casual bettor finding himself at the high roller tables in Las Vegas, out of the blue. Then the truth came out. Sitar had to make a choice that would alter the course of his life. On one side, he could walk away and go back to his normal life. On the other, with all the money, power, and danger that came with it, a full-on fall into the depths of organized crime. Anthony Sitar made his choice at that very moment. He did something wrong that he could never take back, which set him on the fast track to becoming one of Australia's most infamous crooks. We can't help but wonder what makes a man risk everything as we watch Sitar take this dangerous step. Does it have to do with the thrill, the money, or something else? If Anthony Sitar does what he does for any reason, his story will take us to a world that most of us have only seen in movies. You won't be able to say anything after what comes next. With a $300 million package of beer, Anthony Sitar was about to turn the phrase, "tastes like $1 million" on its head. This wasn't your normal drink. It was a mix of meth, cocaine, and sheer bravado that would test the limits of even the smartest drug smuggling schemes. October 2011, Port Melbourne. A supply of Mexican beer comes in, and it looks as harmless as a barbecue on a Sunday afternoon. A powder keg with 134 kilograms of meth and 14 kilograms of cocaine is hidden among 672 boxes of Cucapa beer, ready to go off. The drug game in Australia had just become much more dangerous because of Sitar and his group. The planning was very careful. After being carefully emptied and filled with water, 1,100 beer bottles were given New Mexican beer labels. Sitar and his helpers, such as Adrian Franz and Errol Ramazanoglu, planned a smuggling operation that was going to make things very difficult for customs officers. When regular checks start, things get tense. Officials at customs start their check, but they have no idea what kind of explosives they are dealing with. Sitar's partners are on edge, and their nerves are getting weaker by the second. They think they are being watched by the police, but they are starting to smell something fishy. Then there's a tense moment that would make even the toughest guy sweat. The drugs are almost found out. They are on the verge of being made public. But it looks like fate has other ideas. By some miracle, the illegal goods are still hidden. Police in Australia are already 10 steps ahead of them, but they don't know it. There are listening devices hidden in the boxes that pick up on every nervous shuffle and word. When the time is right, the AFP will strike. They are moving in and putting up surveillance. Let us talk about numbers now. On the streets of Australia, this one package was worth a crazy $300 million. The price of cocaine can go as high as 300,000 Australian dollars per kilo, and the price of meth is around 250,000 Australian dollars per kilo. If you get that much money, a lottery winner would look like a small-time player. Sitar can feel the heat rising as the pieces of this important puzzle start to fit together. The net is getting closer and closer with each hour that goes by. He is aware that he is living on thin air. The drug boss, who used to be unbeatable, is about to face his biggest problem yet: how to avoid being caught by a police force that has been preparing for this moment. The AFP is closing in on Sitar, and his business is on the verge of falling apart. He has one choice: a daring escape that will make him one of Australia's most wanted. You'll be on the edge of your seat for this cat and mouse game. But the question still stands: can Sitar avoid his fate, or will he finally run out of luck? October 18th, 2011, the day the AFP thought they had Thomas Sitar for good. But as dawn broke over Melbourne, something unexpected happened that shocked everyone. Imagine that there is a well-thought-out plan for a raid, that top officers are ready, and that the target is not there. As dawn moved across the city, AFP agents swarmed Sitar's homes. They were ready for anything, like a fight, a battle, or even a chase. Instead, they were met with a creepy quiet. The man they'd been looking for months, Sitar, was no longer seen. It was a strange scene. There was nothing in Sitar's house. There was a half-eaten meal on the table and clothes in the closet. He seemed to have been taken out of his life in an instant. This wasn't a magic trick. It was a vanishing act that would make even the best illusionists green with envy. Authorities looked into what was going on at airports, border crossings, and ports. They would catch Sitar if he tried to run away. But as the hours turned into days, a scary truth became clear. The passport for Sitar had not been used. It looked like he had found a way to turn into a ghost and get past Australia's strict border checks. Different ideas started to spread about how Sitar got away. Some people said he had a fake passport, and others talked about secret paths. Any new idea added to the puzzle, but one thing was for sure: Sitar had done something amazing. As the search for Sitar grew, Interpol put out a red notice in 2012, which put his picture on wanted lists all over the world. Police from Mexico to Moldova were on high alert because Australia's most wanted drug lord was now on the run all over the world. But Sitar always seemed to be one step ahead. Years went by with no big leads. As Sitar's reputation grew, angry police watched as his name was whispered in secret throughout the criminal underworld. It looked like Sitar was gone for good, but then a clue came out of the quiet. The AFP shared a picture of a colorful mural in what looked like a city on the coast of Mexico. The picture was supposedly sent by Sitar himself. He did it in a way that made them want to find him. This one picture started the search all over again, and detectives are now trying to piece together Sitar's new life. Was he lying on the beach and laughing at their antics, a new empire? Or was he rising through the ranks of the Mexican drug cartels? As another day of the search ends, one thing is for sure: Anthony Sitar's big escape is not over yet. The question that keeps coming up is whether justice will finally catch up with Australia's most elusive criminal, or whether Sitar will keep writing his own legend from the dark. Anthony Sitar's new life in Mexico is a strange mix of happiness and danger. Picture this: Australia's most wanted criminal sipping a Corona while walking along a sunny beach with tourists who don't know what's going on. Even the most skilled crime mastermind would be scared by that scene. Sitar, who is 43 years old, has left his home in the suburbs of Melbourne for a brown, laid-back life as an expat. He walks hand in hand with his Mexican wife while their kids play nearby. He looks like the perfect family man. But this front hides a dangerous game of cat and mouse that would make most people have a heart attack. In the middle of a tourist spot packed with other Aussies, Sitar's has been able to hide in plain sight. How many times has a tourist shared a beer with him at the neighborhood bar without knowing they were drinking with one of the most wanted criminals in the world? But don't be fooled by how calm they seem. Sitar is orchestrating deals that span countries and make a lot of money behind the scenes. Every day there are new close calls and almost crimes. Every moment is a tightrope walk between freedom and a life in jail. It could be a tourist who looks a little too much like a police officer on the run, or it could be a casual talk that gets too close to his past. Being on high watch all the time is wearing thin. Sitar's smile seems easy, but there are cracks beginning to show. As paranoia sets in, every stranger seems like it could be a threat. You have to think about whether or not the cost of freedom is worth it. The AFP is looking for shadows, but here's the catch. Sitar's criminal empire has not only lived, it's grown. In Australia, he was a big fish. Now, in the water of organized crime around the world, he's a shark. Anthony Sitar isn't just hiding in this dark world where a tourist paradise meets the drug underworld. He's also building a kingdom that could make his previous businesses look like small businesses. Tony Sitar has been busy while everyone else has been looking. His illegal business is so big, it will make you gasp. We're not talking about a small business here. We're talking about a billion-dollar drug trade dealer. Sitar is the best person to connect Mexican drug gangs with Australian crime groups. Because he speaks two, he makes sure that everyone gets their share. When you make one mistake in this game, everything could fall apart. His web of connections goes across countries and includes some of the world's most dangerous criminal groups. Sitar has an impact on many places, from the beaches of Mexico to the rough streets of Australia. But this isn't a fancy crime movie. Things are very dangerous. It's not just money that's at stake, lives are too. In the blink of an eye, millions of dollars and tons of goods are gone. It's having a big effect on Australia. Drug costs are through the roof. A kilo of cocaine can fetch up to 300,000 Australian dollars, and a kilo of meth is only 250,000 Australian dollars. More and more people are becoming addicted, which breaks people's lives. Then there are the illegal biker gangs. Sitar is linked to well-known gangs like the Comanchero and the Lone Wolf. They are not weekend riders. They are violent criminals with a past of breaking the law. Australia has become one of the best places for drug dealers to make money thanks to Sitars. The police are starting to understand what they're up against as they put this crime puzzle together. Things just got a lot more risky and bigger in the search for Anthony Sitar. While the Australian Federal Police break down a global crime network, the search for Anthony Sitar goes into high gear. New pictures of Sitar, including a mystery mural picture, get everyone very excited. It's not just a picture, it's a taunt from a man who thinks no one can hurt him. As investigators look through Sitar's digital footprint, they put together hints from messages that were intercepted in online purchases. Each piece of information points to a man living well south of the line. Sitar, on the other hand, is not stupid. He does everything he can to stay hidden and keep the AFP guessing. The chase gets hotter as the AFP and Mexican police search coastal towns where drug gang members and expats often hang out. Their grip on Sitar is so thin that they can't even hold on to him for a second. Sitar is always one step ahead in this never-ending game of cat and mouse. The AFP is getting closer, but if they make one mistake, he'll be gone again. High-tech tools that would make a spy movie blush are being used to make this happen. And the search isn't just happening in one area. Police from 46 countries are working together to catch the criminal. They are facing more problems as they go up against Mexican drug gangs like Sinaloa and CJNG. These aren't your normal criminals. They're part of complex networks with as much power as small countries. It's like putting out your hands to catch smoke. But just when it looks like Sitar can't be reached, a new tip comes up. A fuzzy CCTV picture or a whispered talk in a busy market are all it takes to start the chase again. The AFP is ready to strike at any moment. Let's see. Could this be the break they need? One thing is for sure. The search for Anthony Sitar is far from over as another day comes to a close. As time goes on, the game and the stakes get higher. The whole world is watching, eager to see who will make the next move in this high-stakes worldwide hunt. As Australia goes to sleep, the real cost of Sitar's power becomes clear. So many drugs have caused so much damage. In 2021, 3.4% of Australians ages 14 and up used methamphetamine, which is a shockingly high number. Each number tells a heartbreaking story of a family that has been torn apart. One mother's voice shakes as she talks about her pain. "I never thought my child would fall into this world. The drugs took him away from us." This is what parents all over Australia see as their kids become addicted, and they can't do anything about it. The streets are now where turf wars and murders for no reason happen, When drug deals go wrong, they turn into bloody fights that catch innocent people in the middle. Gunshots and sirens can be heard in areas that used to be quiet. This is a sad reminder of the chaos that Sitar's empire has caused. Sitar's money has led to a wave of crime that has spread to strange places. The Australian Federal Police say that drug cartels use their huge amounts of money and power to sway local governments. This creates a culture of fear and cooperation that hurts justice. The effect goes far beyond the shores of Australia. Whole environments are in danger in Mexico, which is where a lot of drug production takes place. Big areas of forest are cut down to make room for drug farms, leaving behind a mess of ruined soil and dirty water. People who used to work with Sitar paint a scary picture of what it was like to be in his inner group. Someone says in a voice that is almost whisper, "I live in constant fear. The people we worked with don't forget or forgive." It's hard to believe how much damage Sitar's acts have caused. The number of crimes goes through the roof, families fall apart, and mental health problems rise. The economic cost alone is mind-boggling. Using illegal drugs is thought to cost the Australian economy 8.2 billion Australian dollars every year. As the sun goes down on another day after Sitar's death, the harsh truth hits. The decisions one man made have caused a huge amount of pain and suffering that has affected thousands of lives. From drug addicts fighting on the streets to kids growing up in broken homes, from dishonest government officials to animals in danger, the web of harm seems to go on and on. This dark part of Australia's past is not going to end as long as Anthony Sitar is still on the run. Anthony Sitar went from living in a suburb of Melbourne to the center of Mexico's drug crime scene. It was a dangerous and brave trip. This person from Australia has made links with the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco New Generation cartel, two of the most feared drug cartels in the world. One bad move can ruin the whole game. Sitar's ability to talk things down and his steely nerves have helped him get through this dangerous world. He used to help people make deals, but now he's involved with drug cartels and plans packages that would amaze even the most experienced drug smugglers. It's hard to believe that these drug gangs move their goods through underwater tunnels and submarines that look like they belong in a spy movie. But being in the gang isn't all fun and big paychecks. Every day is like a tense game of chess, with threats of violence and treason all the time. Sitar's power has grown quickly, and even hardcore drug dealers respect him for it. But his fame comes with a cost. If he ever loses favor, there are no pink slips or termination packages in this world. Sitar's dangerous new life has another day come to an end. One thing is for sure, the stakes couldn't be higher in this game. He is dancing with devils because he wants to be a criminal. The music could stop at any time, and he would have to deal with effects much worse than being locked up at home. Anthony Sitar's life is no longer just about drugs. He is now in charge of a huge business company that will make your head spin. Drug sales bring in so much money that they would make a small country green with envy. Here's where things get really interesting though. Sitar has a way to clean all that dirty money that would make your neighborhood wash and fold look bad. Imagine a web of foreign accounts, shell companies, and cryptocurrencies that is so complicated that even the smartest financial expert would get a headache from it. Sitar's money is flying around the world so fast, you can't even look. It's in a Swiss bank account one minute and buying homes in Dubai the next. Huge amounts of money are at stake in this game of hide and seek. Sitar isn't done yet though. He has real businesses opening up all over the place. He had fancy restaurants, car dealerships, and even a chain of gyms that were all just fronts for his criminal business. At first glance, they look like nice businesses, but if you look a little closer, you'll smell drug money coming through the cracks. At the same time, financial inspectors are working non-stop to sort through this mess of illegal money. They are getting close to important accounts, seizing assets, and following money trails that go across countries. But every time they think they understand Sitar's money better, something else complicated shows up. The spread of Sitar's wealth is truly amazing. His money has touched down all over the world, from the sparkling towers of Hong Kong to the warm beaches of the Cayman Islands. The trail gets harder to follow as it goes across more borders. Sitar has a whole group of white-collar wizards working on it. There are bankers who don't see what's going on, lawyers who can bend the law in impossible ways, and accountants who can quickly and easily steal millions of dollars. These are the people who keep Sitar's business running smoothly, and make sure the money keeps coming in. When everything is said and done, Sitar's real wealth is mind-boggling. This is an income that is on par with some of Australia's biggest billionaires. He went from being a guy from the suburbs to being one of the richest men in the country through drugs, crime, and cheating on his taxes. As the police look into Sitar's accounts more, they are beginning to see a scary truth. It might not be enough to just kill the man. To really end his power, they'll have to take apart the money machine he's built. No matter how hard it is, the search for Anthony Sitar has just become a lot more difficult. While Sitar has been building his kingdom, he has also been planning something much worse. Things are coming together for a crime legacy that could last longer than even the most powerful drug cartels. Sitar wants his name to be so scary that people will be afraid of it long after he's gone. Picture this: Sitar's kids growing up in style on the sunny coast of Mexico. But these rich kids aren't like most. For the family business, they are being trained and are getting to see how a global drug company works from the inside. People who live with Sitar are teaching their kids things that could make them the next big criminals. Sitar is looking for young, talented people from the streets of Mexico and other places. Millennials who are good with technology can hack a bank just as easily as they can sneak a kilo. He is handpicking and training a group of loyal followers who will carry on his work. As the police learn more about Sitar's plan, tensions are rising. It's about breaking up a family of criminals before they can grow. Law enforcement officials are shocked by the idea that Sitar's power might last longer than him. It's possible that Sitar's methods and links will be passed down like a strange family heirloom in the future. Australia is getting ready for the effects of drugs. Experts think that there could be a huge increase in trafficking that would be even worse than the present crisis. Those who take over for Sitar will have access to cutting-edge technology, friends all over the world, and a lifetime of illegal knowledge. It has all the ingredients for a drug problem that could change the country for years to come. As the strange puzzle pieces start to fit together, a scary truth dawns on you. The things that Sitar is doing now are setting up illegal businesses that could last for decades. His work could lead to a new type of criminal, one that combines the violence of drug cartels with the creativity of Silicon Valley. The police are in a race against time because the clock is going. They are fighting so that Sitar's criminal information doesn't get passed on to the next generation in its entirety. The future of Australia's drug trade is at stake in this high-stakes game of cat and mouse. As another day ends in Sitar's strange world, one thing is becoming very clear. Stopping a criminal trend that could change the face of organized crime forever is what the search for Anthony Sitar is all about. Can they close Sitar's criminal school before it turns out its first group of super criminals? In the last part of this criminal saga, Anthony Sitar's story takes a turn we didn't see coming. The AFP is still chasing the most wanted person in Australia and is working with law enforcement agencies around the world to find them. Imagine that special agents are closing in on Sitar's hiding place in a quiet town on the coast of Mexico. With each passing second, the tension grows. But Sitar is not a person who gives up easily. He has been avoiding capture for years, always one step ahead of the police. His group of loyal fans keeps him up to date, which helps him avoid getting caught by the police many times. Sitar could spend decades or even a lifetime in prison if he is caught. The judges will not be lenient because his empire caused a lot of damage around the world. What if he manages to escape altogether? It might sound like a dream to live in a tropical paradise, but you have to be paranoid all the time, always watch your back, and never know who to trust. No matter what happens, Sitar's rule will last for a long time. If they catch him, it could mess up the global drug trade and cause gangs to fight over who is in charge. His influence could grow stronger if he stays free, leading to a new breed of criminals. Sitar's reputation is set, whether he is in jail or on the run. He went from being a nobody from the suburbs to becoming one of the most famous criminals in history. His story, about desire gone wrong, will be told for years to come as a lesson. As Anthony Sitar's kingdom comes to an end, we are left to think about the decisions he made that led him to this point. Was it worth all the money, power, and threats all the time? That's something only Sitar knows for sure, but everyone agrees that his freedom has cost him more than anyone thought possible. Anthony Sitar's rise from a normal guy from the suburbs to an infamous international drug lord is a stark warning about how bad things can get when you use crime to get money and power. His story is like a scary warning tale. As he goes deeper into the criminal underworld, bad things happen that he didn't expect. There are many people whose lives have been changed by Sitar's decisions. They have caused addiction, violence, and broken families. As the search for Australia's most wanted criminal goes on, we can't help but wonder if Anthony Sitar will finally be caught. Or will he stay out of reach, annoying police and the people whose lives he's ruined? One thing is certain. Sitar's legacy will always be a strong warning of how dangerous it is to have easy money and criminal power. As this part of Australia's criminal history comes to an end, it makes us think, how much are we ready to give up for the choices we make? And when do we know it's too late to go back?